We've been voiceless for over 2 decades, and I feel like it's time for multilingual learners to be represented at JCPS.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn? Ms. Duncan, seconded by Mr. Craig, all in favor? Ayes have it. We are adjourned at 7:59 p.m. Dr. Compton, would you please?
We have a person that's on the list that is not been able to speak. He's on.
I don't have any names in my speech. It's just about an overarching issue.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Good evening. My name is Dr. Alexis Crook, and I stand here with victims and parents of victims of JCPS staff and coaches. It's truly unfortunate that I have to speak on this tonight. However, I would be remiss if I continue to hear the stories of sexual abuse from the same employees and remain silent. So today I stand with a heavy heart, compelled to address a grave issue that strikes the core of our community's values. The systematic failure of JCPS to protect our innocent students from egregious misconduct of some JCPS staff and coaches. It's a disturbing reality that within our educational institutions, places meant to nurture and safeguard our children, there exists a culture of abuse and neglect. Time and time again, we have witnessed the appalling betrayal of trust as reports continue to surface of sexual misconduct perpetuated against minors in their care. What is even more alarming is the apparent disregard for the well-being of our children, as JCPS has repeatedly failed to take a decisive action to hold perpetrators accountable and prevent future harm. Instead of swift and transparent justice, we have seen a pattern of evasion and complacency. Rather than addressing the root causes of these heinous acts, the board has opted, sorry, lost my place. The board has opted for the practice of transferring offending staff to different schools or administrative placements, effectively sweeping the issue under the rug and perpetuating the cycle of abuse, allowing these staff to pick their next victim. There should be no tolerance for rapists and pedophiles in our school system. There is no justification for the exploitation of our children. The safety and dignity of every student must be paramount. In this solemn duty of the board, it is a solemn duty of this board to uphold the fundamental principle without compromise. As members of the community, we cannot stand by while our children's innocence is violated and their futures are jeopardized. We must demand accountability, transparency, and meaningful reform within our school system. We must insist on policies that prioritize the protection of all children above all else and ensure that those who betray our trust are swiftly and justly held accountable for their actions. Last summer, I was contacted by someone's daughter asking me about something that happened to me 2 decades ago. I could have never prepared myself for the things I would learn in a few short months. I've spoken to over 15 victims, all females that attended JCPS, some who wish to remain anonymous due to fear of retaliation, some who want their stories to be heard. I've heard stories that have broken my heart. I've had to watch young women relive the traumas and figure out how to move forward with life. I've seen parents struggle with their children being assaulted in the very institutions that are supposed to keep them safe. I've cried with other victims, struggled with my own emotions as a result of the trauma I experienced 20 years ago. 20 years is a very long time for the same predators to continue to have their pick of victims within the school. Moving staff to different schools or placements doesn't fix the problem. Myself and other victims have to deal with the trauma for the rest of our lives. We want
Thank you. Have a good night.